Hey, I'm back with Ivan. We're about a little over halfway through our book, so once we're done, we'll have to figure out what we're doing next. I want to say hi to Ava and Emily. I know you're always out there waiting for me. I know I've been a little slow. You got to remind me to read. All right, going nowhere. I watch Ruby plod around the ring in endless circles, going nowhere. More visitors have been coming, but not many. Max says Ruby's not picking up the slack after all. He says he's cutting back on our food. He says he's turning off the heat at night to save money. Ruby looks thinner to me, more wrinkled than Stella ever was. Do you think Ruby's getting enough to eat? I asked Bob. I don't know. I'll tell you one thing, though. You're sure as a heck painting enough. Bob wrinkles his nose. The stench is unbelievable, and I found yellow paint in my tail this morning. Bob isn't happy about my night painting. He says it's unnatural. Now, while I work on my art, Bob sleeps on Not Tag. He claims he prefers her because she doesn't snore. He says her belly doesn't rise and fall and make him seasick. What is this plan of yours anyway? Bob asks. If you'd explain it to me, I could help out. He gnaws at his tail. Maybe I could come up with something that doesn't involve, paint. I can't explain it, I tell him. It's an idea in my head, but I can't get it right. And anyway, I'm almost out of supplies. I should have known I wouldn't have had enough. I kick at my tire swing. It's splattered with drops of blue paint. It's a stupid idea. I doubt that, Bob says. Smelly, yes. Stupid, never. Bad guys. Most of the day I doze. Late in the afternoon, Mac approaches. Bob slips under Not Tag. He prefers to keep a low profile around Mac. Mac's gaze falls on my pool. A corner of one of my paintings is visible. What's that big guy? He asks. I calmly eat an orange, ignoring him, but my heart is racing. Mac kicks at my plastic pool. Underneath it are all the paintings. Mac yanks on a piece of paper. It slips out easily, and he doesn't seem to notice the other paintings. The page is striped with green, which is what happens when blue and yellow paint get together. It's supposed to be a patch of grass. Not bad. Where'd you get the paint anyway? George's kid? He considers. I bet I'll get 30 for this picture, maybe even 40. Mac turns on my TV. It's a Western. There's a human with a big hat and a small gun. He has a shiny star pinned to his chest. That means he is a sheriff, and he will be getting rid of all the bad guys. If this sells quick, I'm getting you some more of that paint, buddy, Mac says. He walks away with my painting, Ruby's painting. For a moment, I imagine what it would feel like to be a sheriff. There's a little tiny picture on this one. Ad. Good news, huh? Bob says when Mac's out of earshot. Looks like you might getting some more supplies. I don't want to paint for Mac, I say. I'm painting for Ruby. You can do both. You're an artist after all. While I watch the movie, I try to come up with a new hiding place for my paintings. Maybe I think I could fold them once they're dry and stuff them into Not Tag. It's a long movie. At the end, the sheriff marries the woman who owns the saloon, which is a watering hole for humans, but not for horses. It's been a long time since I've seen a Western that was also a romance. I liked that movie, I say to Bob. Too many horses, not enough dogs, he comments. An ad comes on. I don't understand ads. They're not like Westerns where you know who the bad guy's supposed to be, and they hardly ever have romantic endings unless the man and the woman are brushing their teeth before they face lick. I watch an ad for an underarm deodorant. How do you know who's who if they don't smell? I ask Bob. Humans reek, Bob replies. They just don't notice it because they have incompetent noses. Another ad comes on. I see children and their parents buying tickets, just like the tickets Mac sells. They laugh, enjoying their ice cream cones as they walk down the path. They pause to watch two sleepy-eyed cats, huge and striped, dozing in long glass. Tigers. I know because I saw them once on a nature show. Words flash on the screen, accompanied by a drawing of a red giraffe. The giraffe vanishes, and I see a human family staring at another kind of family. Elephants. Old and young, they're surrounded by rocks and trees and grass and room to wander. It's a wild cage, a zoo. I see where it begins and where it ends, the wall that says you are this and we are that, and this is how it will always be. It's not a perfect place. Even in just a few fleeting seconds on my TV, I can see that. A perfect place would not need walls. But that is the place I need. I gaze at the elephants, then I look over at Ruby, small and alone. Before the ad ends, I try to remember every last detail. Rocks, trees, tails, trunks. It's the picture I need to paint. Imagining. It's different now when I paint. I'm not painting what I see in front of me, a banana, an apple. I'm painting what I see in my head. things that don't exist, at least not yet. Knot tag. I pull out knot tag stuffing. Carefully I fill her with my paintings, hiding them so Mac won't sell them. She's large, bigger than Bob, but I still have to crumple a few of them. Bob tries to settle on her for a nap. You've killed her, he complains. I had to, I say. I missed your stomach, Bob admits. It's so spacious. When Julie arrives, she noticed that I've used up all my paints and paper. Wow, Julia shakes her head. You are one serious artist, Ivan. One more thing. My finger painting has sold for $40 with a frame. Mac is happy. He brings me a huge pile of papers and big buckets of paint. Get to work, he says. I paint for Mac during the day and for Ruby at night. I nap when I can. There he is, painting away. And there's Ruby sleeping. But my nighttime painting isn't quite right. It's big, that's for sure. When I place all the pieces on the floor of my cage side by side, the cement is almost covered. But something is still missing. Bob says I'm crazy. There's Ruby, he says, pointing with his nose. There's the zoo. There are the other elephants. What's wrong? It needs one more thing, I say. Bob groans. Oh, you're being a temperamental artist. What could be missing? I stare at the huge expanse of colors and shapes. I don't know how to explain it to Bob, but it's not done yet. I'll just have to wait, I say. At last something will come to me, and then I'll know my painting is finally ready. The 7 o'clock show. During the last show of the day, Ruby seems tired. When she stumbles, Mac reaches for the claw stick. I tense, waiting for her to strike back. Ruby doesn't even flinch. She just keeps plodding along, and after a while, Snickers jumps onto her back. 12. I lay in my cage with Bob on my stomach. We are watching Julia do her homework. She doesn't seem to be enjoying it. I can tell because she's sighing more than usual. Again, for the 100th time, or maybe the 1,000th time, I wonder what's missing from my painting. And for the 100th time, or maybe the 1,000th time, I don't have an answer. Dad, Julia says as George passes by with a mop, can I ask you a question? May I, George corrects. Ask away. Julia glances down at a piece of paper. What's the difference between the word spelled principal, P-R-I-N-C-I-P-A-L, and the one that's spelled principal, P-R-I-N-C-I-P-L-E? The first one is the head of school, like Miss Garcia. The second one is a belief that helps you know what's right or wrong. For example, it's against my principle to do my daughter's homework. Julia